Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Blu Ocean Crypto. Today we're going to cover an introduction to Gods Unchained. And for any of you who haven't seen our Coffee and Crypto episode where we had Miles, head of research for Blu Ocean Games Guild, come on, he's been playing this quite a bit lately, and we had an entire episode about it, so I wanted to make sure I covered this for you guys, for anyone that wanted to get started, and also for me. I've been a big Magic the Gathering player for over 25 years now, and this game is definitely making a name for itself in the esports arena as far as Web3 games go. And plus, we'll take a look at the marketplace here, and you guys will see there's quite a bit of volume going on right now. So even with the state of the market, there's definitely some great things happening with this game, and I'm excited to explore it a lot further with you guys on the channel. So just kind of going right to their website, that's where the best information usually is for this kind of stuff. Of course, I recommend you head to their Discord. Here, their community is great. Really happy to answer any kind of questions that you might have. And of course, there's a lot of strategy involved with this, so you can always ask for like deck tips and building tips and meta stuff like that too. But basically, it's a trading card game that pays to play. So they're trying to redefine the trading card game genre by using NFT assets so that people can have ownership, right? It's kind of the same creator model that a lot of play-to-earn titles have, but it just makes sense with trading card games, right? That was actually kind of a big issue with Magic the Gathering Arena when it first started, is people were like, oh shoot, now I have a separate just digital collection that I can't resell to anybody. But of course, Magic Arena, huge success. I still play that quite a bit for draft and sealed formats. So let's just kind of go through the site. They talk about how there's over 52 million plus worth of cards exchanged, dollars worth. It's led by Chris Clay. Anyone who's big into Magic knows who he is. He's a former game director for the Arena. And there's $570,000 tournament prize pool. Basically, that's like all their tournaments kind of put together, what it's been up to at this point, which makes sense why there's such a huge esports focus right now. They also make a point, of course, to talk about just how much money people spent, a couple of years ago, $74 billion on game items. Nobody got that or received anything. This is kind of apparent across all NFT games. This is a really important thing that they want to try to fix. And, they talk about true ownership for players. You can even kind of see an example of some of the gameplay. Right away, when I first seen this, I thought Hearthstone, more than even Magic. It seems kind of fast-paced. It's visually appealing. You've got an easy to follow board state, but when we talked to Miles about this, he actually kind of compared it more so to Magic because of the undeterministic way that it plays, meaning you really have to use strategy. You're not just putting things down and letting them play out. There really is this high-level strategy aspect to it, but the visual aspect, of course, obviously makes it appealing, right? It's just more enjoyable. To have a fun game with something that's visually appealing. You've got all these effects and everything going on. And it's pretty simple. You collect your cards, you build your deck, you can sell to other players, right? So maybe you got a deck that you're customizing and building up. There's some cards that you end up testing that you don't like. You can always resell them back to buy new ones. That's what you do with Magic, right? You build your collection, you kind of refine some decks, and then you get rid of any of the extra stuff to help facilitate the growth of the decks you want. They talk about how it's easy to get started. You basically play, collect, trade, and then master, right? So kind of like I just mentioned, but of course, the more experience you get, the better you're going to get at it. They talk about how they're redefining or reshaping the genre. There's some great quotes here from a couple people. They also talk about how it's free to play, not pay to win. And at first, when I heard this, I was like, yeah, of course. But really what they're doing is you can get certain rarities of certain cards, and the higher the rarity, the higher earning potentials that you unlock. So you can use still the same strategy, but maybe with the non-NFT versions or the low rarity NFT versions, so you're not kind of locked out from that high strategy aspect. Someone else just might have higher rarity, same deck, and they're just simply earning more. I really like how they did that, and it shows me that they're sticking true to this free-to-play, not pay-to-win kind of model. When you're not just priced out of cards completely. Of course, there's some expensive ones. We'll take a look at the market here. But because of the rarity and tiers, and that increases the earning potential, well, the card's impact is still the same. Of course, they're saying they've been featured on a lot of these great sites with some quotes there too. That's nice to see. And they talk about the future of trading card games await. So they're really trying to define themselves as, hey, we're the go-to for trading card games in the NFT space. And it's from the team that did Immutable. I mean, that alone has a lot of weight to it just because of their reputation. I mean, Immutable X is just absolutely amazing what they've done in the space and play to earn in general. These are the guys that did that. So just kind of scrolling along, there's a new expansion that just came out. You can kind of see here there's quite a few. We're going to take a look at the Winter Wanderlands it's called, which is funny. And you can buy packs right now. So we'll take a look at that here in a moment. But of course, it's all Christmas themed. You know, and they talk about how there's a snowball discount remaining. So basically, if you buy packs early, you're going to get them at a cheaper price. But once there's another $1 million, you know, utilized, that's it. They're going to go back to regular. That really incentivizes people buying new packs and new sets when they come out. And I'm sure that helps with the meta and redefining the strategy because you've got all these new cards coming in. And they just talk about how it's a realm of snow and magic. You know, there's something about lost and found, mortal struggles on godly grounds. And it's really neat because they are building the lore with this too, right? So just like Magic, you know, the lore has been something that really people got quite interested in and actually has helped develop a love for the game because when you've got this backstory, you know, there's certain characters you start to like that maybe you want to play. You just have this kind of deeper understanding of the background going on behind the cards, which is really cool and important, I think. They talk about how there's champions you've never seen before. There's all kinds of new community awards and quests and stuff that you can complete too. And then they kind of just give you an example here of some of the cards that you can flip through, you know, and kind of see. If we just scroll along, it'll kind of show a couple other example ones. So you can kind of think, okay, how is this going to impact my deck? Maybe I really want to shoot for the Avalanche Watcher for different reasons. Maybe it fits well over here. Of course, you can just open up the packs and go, or do some research yourself too. But I like that they show that. And then you can see here they're showing NFT Insider cards reveal. There's a buyer guide, and then there's the lore that they update. It's basically the latest updates in regards to this. Just kind of moving along, I wanted to show you if you're buying the packs, right? So say you're like, okay, I'm going to jump in. I want to buy some packs. I really like how straightforward this is. We can see exactly what it costs for a single booster. We know it contains 3 rares, epic or legendary Winter Wanderland cards, and you can kind of see that bar there. There's only so many left. And then we can change how many we want to buy, right? So if we're going to get 100 packs, well, we can see that'll be about 0.8 ETH, right? Or there's the shiny option, and really the main difference is you can get cards of shadow, gold, or diamond quality. Now, like I mentioned, you can still get the exact same cards with the regular boosters. It's just the earning potentials are way higher, right? So if you invest more on the shinier cards or the higher rarities, while you're playing, you're going to earn more back. Which I'm really glad that they did that. But same thing, you know, even if we look at 25 of these, now we're looking at about 2 ETH. So we've got about 10 times the price, roughly. Actually, almost exactly 10 times the price, a couple cents off, to go from the regular to the shiny. And I would recommend generally you start here, you know, build your deck, get comfortable with the game. If you find something that you like, you know, then you can kind of move up to the rarities. But whatever's best for you, if you know, if you've got the income to spend and this is something you love, you know, do what feels right to you, of course. And of course it has a little bit, you know, leads us back to the more information about it if we wanted to. So just kind of moving to the marketplace. What I really like about this is just how simple it is, right? We can sort by attack, god, health, mana, so on and so forth, even rarity, right? Maybe we want to start with all commons. Maybe we want to take a look at the mythics. So really depending on what you're trying to do, what your intentions are with the game, maybe it's just for fun, start with your commons, maybe you do want to maximize your earnings, maybe you want to upgrade stuff to legendary, this will all help that, right? And I mean, there's cards here you can see for as cheap as a penny, basically. So it's easy to kind of build a deck, not necessarily that expensive. The entry level is really nice. It's really easy for people to just log in, even the free-to-play aspect. You know, Miles from our game guild was basically saying he didn't start with anything in, he just started free, and just naturally through the earnings he's actually made, you know, $10, $20, $30, and then use that to upgrade and buy some NFT cards and kind of just scale. So there's not a lot of games that allow that either. Usually you need this upfront investment even to just start. You don't here, but of course you could pick up some of these cheaper cards. But let's take a look at the opposite. You know, maybe we're looking for there's no mythics that even show up. Maybe we'll do rares. Let's see here. Here we go. So, you know, just changing the quality. Now, there's a difference between quality and rarity, obviously. So, rarity is, you know, commons won't be in the epics, epics won't be in the legendaries. That's the rarity of the card. And then each of those rarities also have a quality attribute associated to it. So let's actually take a look at the gold. So I do need to turn off shadow. So we can see here there's only two, right? It kind of makes sense. It's the highest quality possible. We've got one for about 150 bucks. This one is 375. Now, just to put it in perspective, there are magic cards out there, physical pieces of cardboard, up to like $12,000 in value if you go way back to some of the older ones, you know. And I mean, even if you want to play in some of the competitive formats like Legacy, there's some land that's like $800 a pop. So it's not a surprise for me to see prices like this, especially when you compare it to Magic or even Pokemon. There's some Pokemon cards that are quite expensive. So, you know, you can go the expensive route, but you can really just start kind of low, work up your collection, feel how the earnings are right, and then kind of make the decision to go. So yeah, it's really nice to kind of poke around here and get a sense, but here's what really stood out to me. The volume. We've got a little bit more than $250,000 going through this marketplace just in the last 24 hours. And if you guys use DApp Radar or research any other games, you know, you'll notice the volume's been quite low for a lot of projects. Not these guys, you know. Yes, they had a lot more volume later, but it's still really healthy amount to see. You can see there's 31.4 million assets, 184,000 owners. That's really nice to see too. It's not just a smaller group of people that own the majority of the collection. All-time volume traded is over 100 million. That's impressive. That's like 1/10 of the way to $1 billion worth of trade volume. And their highest individual sale was $72,000, so I can only imagine what that card might have been. But really great to see this. It instills a lot of confidence for me in the project. Same with our game guild. You know, we want to make sure that we're playing things and investing in things that have long-term sustainability. And considering where the market is right now and everything that's going on, this is great to see. So just kind of moving along, they have a full database of the cards, which is awesome, especially when you're trying to do some deck brewing and figuring out how do I want things to synergize here and here. You know, you can kind of choose the different categories or criteria and then search. So you can spend a bunch of time just kind of theory crafting in here through their whole cards catalog, which is nice. And just kind of jumping over to the next thing, you know, there's an FAQ, right? Maybe you need questions about your account, the token, general, mutable X, getting started. Now, any trading card game is usually generally pretty easy to start. But if you want to play it at a high level, you really need to understand the rules through and through. Magic is a good example of this. You know, I've been playing for 25 years. I still don't know all the rules. There's still exceptions to things. Now, Magic, there's just so many cards, that's a big reason. So if you want to get a good footing with this, I highly recommend you spend a good amount of time doing the research. Come to our Discord, you know, check out our research report. We've done a lot of this work already for you guys. That's why we have those resources accessible for everyone, because it does take a lot of time to do this. But of course, the more you learn, the better prepared you're going to be to set yourself up for wins. And also the lore. So I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but this is one of my favorite parts, because having this backstory, this fantasy backstory, it really just adds a lot of character to the cards that you're playing. You kind of know where these characters or gods are coming from, what their backgrounds are, how new sets are tying into the lore and story. And it's just impressive to see how well they've kept up on this and how they understand how important it is to a trading card game. So if you want to learn to play, this is the best place to start. There was the section for the FAQ, but I'd highly recommend you go here. It's just under the Learn category. And there's a quick video on just gameplay tutorial, generally how to play, you know, a couple things you need to do before you play. They mentioned joining the community. Like I said, that's really important. The reason I mention it's important is because there's no way you're going to know everything when it comes to this or a trading card game. So being able to hear other people's opinions, strategies, things like that can really give you a lot of extra insight if you do want to play at a competitive level. And you can even reach out to them if you have any issues, you know, of course, or maybe even general questions. But I would generally keep the questions to Discord or the community. And then, of course, they have a bunch more articles here, like learning how to play, learning how to build a deck, the token utility, learning about the various game modes, and introduction to gaming NFTs. So there's a little bit of everything here, even some safety tips, crypto scams, and top tips. So they're really trying to help their whole player base, not just, hey, we've got an NFT game. It's like, hey, let us help you navigate this space. We're going to teach you about security. We're going to teach you about NFTs. We're going to teach you about utility on tokens. And then you've got all the deck building and all the other stuff, of course. So it's nice to see that they're really taking care of their community and going above and beyond with other stuff, not just related to their game, but just general practices within Web3. Then, of course, the thing that most people were waiting for me to cover, and usually my most curious thing when I'm looking, is the token. What is the token? How does it work, right? So there's the Gods token, and it's an ERC20 token, so Ethereum. And you can use this token to craft NFTs, purchase packs from the marketplace, and even earn more rewards by holding the tokens in Immutable X, so like staking, right? Gods tokens also represent voting power and basically governance. So there is a great white paper. I'll definitely cover that in another video because we'll need to do a deep dive. I think there's about 30 pages, so it's quite extensive, but it's really nice how they put that together. That'll be for another one. So kind of the same thing, right? They're talking about digital card game, players own their own assets, it's secure and scalable with Immutable X. And then they have this credence, which I thought is cool. So it's an integral part of the Play to Earn foundations. You know, as an owner of the token, you can earn rewards through in-game and external avenues. It's up to you. So they have the active staking. That's very similar for most projects. You know, the larger staking contribution you do, the more you're going to get back. You know, you can craft NFTs. And something else that was really cool is you can actually blend in the game. And I'll show you this when we get into the game and do some gameplay stuff and navigate around there. But you can take non-NFT cards, and if you get enough of them, you can actually blend them together to upgrade into the NFTs. So that's how you can go from a free-to-play into the play-to-earn when you didn't have to necessarily invest a whole bunch to start. Of course, governance is important if you want to get involved actively in the voting, about how the game develops. You know, it's still... The decentralized model is great for voting on things. There's still centralized aspects of most projects too, so it's kind of like a balance between. But it's really great to see that people can actually speak up and have a say. Maybe something's broken. Maybe there's an overpowered card that's taking over the meta, and you either play this card or play the deck that beats it. They don't want that, right? So balancing is important, but they're going to be able to hear it from the players because of the voting. And I think that's an advantage that Gods Unchained has even over most traditional trading card games, because really it's just the company that's making the ban decisions, where it sounds like even the players could really vote for it. Really awesome stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like I said, this just was a brief introduction. You know, we're going to do gameplay videos. I'm going to show you guys a lot of strategy. We'll take a look at deck building, all kinds of stuff, the tokens, the staking. But I want to give you guys kind of a good understanding to get your foot in the door to get started and kind of have just the knowledge to know what this is about and what they're trying to accomplish. But man, that volume is really great to see. You know, they've got a healthy, sustainable ecosystem, in my opinion, right now. And the esports focus, right? So our game guild is all about esports. So it just makes sense that this is something that we start taking a little bit more serious. So, as always, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you appreciate this and you're looking forward to more Gods Unchained content. Hit that like button too. That really does a great job showing this to other people who are searching for this type of content, and help this space grow. And then, of course, hit the bell notification to stay up to date with all the great play to earn content that we have coming out for you guys on a consistent basis. Till next time, cheers.